Oh man, lots of news to talk about. We'll do it up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Tuesday, April Fool's Day. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. And to be honest, I wish a lot of these news items were April Fool's jokes, but they are not. It was a rough day for your Braves, Scott. Jurickson Profar has been suspended 80 games for violating the league's PED policy, potentially contributing to his breakout season last year. Brian De La Cruz started in left field on Monday. They also signed Alex Verdugo late in spring training, so perhaps he'll get some run here with the Atlanta Braves as well. My assumption is we can drop Jurickson Profar in redraft leagues.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, 80-game suspension, that puts him out until just before the All-Star break. So that's a long time to go without a bench spot, to play a man down, basically. And, if you play in a league, I know some platforms offer this in a spot, just a non-active spot that isn't specifically IL spot, then okay, you could stash Profar there. And if it's open for you now, you might as well. I think in the long run, during all that time, you might need to stash an injured player there. But whatever, if it's available, if it's not filled, you can stash them and see how things go. But most of us don't have that luxury. It's just a bench spot he's taking up. And I think it's too long of a wait. Now, I'm not necessarily of the mind that he won't be worth rostering anymore when he does come back. You mentioned that it may have contributed to his breakout, and it may have, but the history of PED suspensions is far from conclusive as far as this goes. Most players, when they have a PED suspension, they come back and they're the same. There haven't been many cases like Profar where guy has a career year and then immediately is hit with a PED suspension afterward. So it's kind of surprising there haven't been many cases like that, but there haven't. And so maybe he'll be the exception, one of the few exceptions to they're just exactly the same when they come back from the suspension. But I think as good as he was last year, he will be of interest, at least to start out when he does return.
All right, and we will talk about replacements in just a little bit. Ronaldo Lopez went to the IL with right shoulder inflammation, and he dealt with this same injury last year. We saw the velocity down during spring training. Bryce Elder was recalled, and I'm guessing we don't have much interest in Bryce Elder, Scott.
No, we've seen him a few times before, and we don't. I don't think there's a ton of upside there and not much strikeout potential.
All right, Colton Cowser was placed in the IL with a fractured left thumb, and he suffered the injury on a slide into first base. Expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks at minimum, and this opens up playing time for Heston Kjerstad, who was in the lineup on Monday, even against a lefty. He's 30% rostered. Former second overall pick. He's 26 years old, has put up some big numbers in the minors. So I think in 5 outfielder leagues, you could look at somebody like Heston Kjerstad as a replacement. But Scott, the clearest answer for a Cowser and Profar replacement looks like it is Lars Nootbaar right now.
Oh yeah, he would be perfect, especially for Profar. I mean, it's almost too good to be true in a points league, especially if you can swap out Profar for Nootbaar, who offers similar plate discipline, offers the leadoff appeal that Profar had to begin the year. It might be just as well that this happened with the way Lars Nootbaar started out, hit his second home run on Monday. I'm excited about him, and he's available enough that there's a chance he's out there in your league. Definitely would be more interested in him than Heston Kjerstad. Kjerstad has upside, of course, but he's struck out a lot in the majors, hasn't made good on past opportunities. This hopefully will be the longest stretch he gets, and maybe he'll live up to it finally. But it remains to be seen. I think there are a number of outfielders in between Lars Nootbaar and Heston Kjerstad that I would be looking to pick up. I don't know if you want to get into that more, or if
Feel
we
free.
save it.
Throw some names.
Okay. All right. I'll throw some names at you. So on the higher end, you have Jung-Hoo Lee. You have Michael Conforto, who's actually been dropped in a number of leagues, but I still think the potential is great in that lineup. You have TJ Friedel, who also has the leadoff appeal, batting there for the Reds, a couple years removed from an 18-homer, 27 steal season. And last year he was injured, but the power was there, and that was the most questionable part of that 18-homer, 27 steal season. So I think we could see a bounce back from Friedel. And then much more available are names like Max Kepler, amazingly, just 20% rostered in CBS leagues. And love the changes he's made to his swing. Think there's power potential, good plate discipline. Looks like he's going to play close to every day for the Phillies. You have Andy Pages widely available still. I believe he started every game for the Dodgers and has untapped power potential. Both of these guys are more available than Heston Kjerstad, and I'd prefer them to him. And then if you want to go really deep, you have names like Pavin Smith, who has platoon concerns, but I think there's a lot of upside there. Alan Roden, same thing. And trying to remember the last name I wrote about because it's sort of on the level of Pavin Smith, and it is Trevor Larnach. You got to go real deep.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
One of golf's elite courses, Quail Hollow, hosts the game's top players at the PGA Championship this May on CBS.
Welcome back in FBT Express. One other news item from Monday. Freddie Freeman was out of the lineup. Apparently, he re-aggravated his surgically repaired ankle while showering on Saturday night. He's day-to-day, but who knows, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, he's been good throughout the ankle stuff dating back to the postseason last year. Obviously had a legendary performance in the World Series. So performance isn't the issue, but the ankle injury is not going away. It's possible he's going to keep re-aggravating it. And I don't think he'll miss much time when he does, but I do think you need to have a backup in place if you have Freeman at first base. And fortunately, that's the position where there have been a lot of risers early on. Spencer Torkelson. Kyle Manzardo's not eligible at first base yet, but hopefully he picks that eligibility up. Tyler Soderstrom. Maybe you missed out on them already, but maybe somebody in your league dropped Rhys Hoskins or Michael Tolia to pick them up, somebody like that. If you got to go deeper, Ben Rice, Jonathan Aranda, somebody like that to back up Freddie Freeman in case he does miss some time here and there with this ankle injury.
All right, let's wrap up with some quick waiver wire talk. And we had some interesting pitching performances here on Monday. Chris Bubich was awesome at the Brewers. Brady Singer, really good in his Reds debut. Drew Rasmussen pitched well against the Pirates. David Peterson, a strong start at the Marlins. And Jordan Hicks looked pretty good at the Astros in a tough matchup there as well. Scott, who would be your three favorites from that group? Jordan Hicks, David Peterson, Drew Rasmussen, Brady Singer, and Chris Bubich.
Chris Bubich, excuse me, far and away the best of these choices. He is somebody who showed a lot of upside last year as a reliever, but the changes to his arsenal that we saw on display then actually took effect the year before, early in 2023, when he was still in the rotation. He was getting a lot more whiffs with those changes to his arsenal, then had Tommy John surgery, now back in the rotation. I believe 11 of his swinging strikes in this start. Yeah, 11 came on the fastball, which is a good indication of upside. Chris Bubich looking really strong to start out. I think Drew Rasmussen is a great pickup too. Has always excelled in ERA and whip because he's a great ground ball guy, good control pitcher. Not going to be a huge strikeout artist, but just very reliable at what he does, and is also relief pitcher eligible if that matters in your league. They may manage his innings, so that's something to worry about with Rasmussen, but I think the innings he gives you are going to be great. My third favorite probably is a distant third, but it's probably Brady Singer. I see him as more of a matchups play, but he is doing something different this year, throwing a lot more four-seamers to go with the sinker and the sweeper that he's always leaned on heavily. And between this season debut and what we were seeing from him in spring training, more strikeouts, more effectiveness overall. I'm kind of skeptical it's going to be a long-term help to him, but he is doing something different, and we are seeing different results for Singer.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.